Hello, fellow collectors and fans. Today I'm doing a review and gonna go into a little bit of the lore of this is the ToyBiz 2001, or actually 2002, excuse me, Armored Troll. Um, I put the term armored labor troll because that's what they really were, and it wasn't specified like that, so I just wanted to add a little more specificity. Basically, we're going to do a review of the figure itself first, and then I'll go into the pricing, price ranges, and then I'm going to do the lore, get into the background. So first off, let's get into this guy. First off, just look at him. You can see how amazing that looks. He does have those two. They all have these two notches on the back, which you don't notice from front. This one pulls up, and his mouth. Take a look. He's got some Hellraiser style chains going, and that one just pulls a drop, and then he comes up. Drop. It's pretty cool though, because I mean, if you look, let's bring this in. Let's bring this in a little bit closer. Okay, there we go. Let's bring the face up for a close up. Take a look at this. Look at how they use. This is ToyBiz. This is unaltered ToyBiz. Look at the teeth. Look at the shiny, glistening eyes and the mouth with the obvious saliva. This was made. Think about it. This was made almost 20 years ago, and yet works perfectly, and is in great shape. Got a great deal on eBay for it. Now, as far as articulation goes, now you can move him into. You can have him in a stance like this, or you can have this one up a little bit. But really, because of the mechanical action, it really doesn't allow for much posing. But you can do little things like that. The head. Let's bring him in closer to show you the head. As you can see, he's armored, just like the ones, and I'll get into it later, at the Black Gate. But anyway, he has a full rotation, so you can get him into kind of whatever pose you're looking for. Um, because also the legs they're very tight, and I don't want to mess up the ball joints, but if you can see that amount of movement that you get out of it. And then this, I swear I know it's not real leather, but it feels like real leather. And it looks like it. Take a close look at that. Going up, that goes all the way around. And then, of course, he's got his little troll diaper thing. And, of course, oh, man, he's doing the plumber thing. He should be a plumber. He's a plumber troll, folks. Okay, there we go. We've got him back on. And so that's that. Take a look at the scales with a little bit of dirt in between them. That is intentional. This is completely 100% clean. That's the way they were made, to show, because these guys were workers. They were work trolls, and I mean, they were trolls. Trolls are, we'll get into it, but they're by nature not exactly guys that would be in hygiene. Now, the reason for the chains. One, obviously, as a figure, you want to have something that he can do, some kind of weapon, some kind of thing like that. But in reality, the chains represent, if you remember in Return of the King, when they're pushed, if you remember in Return of the King, they had these trolls pushing the giant battering ram. And so, of course, that's why they have the heavy armor over their head. Their natural skin, their skin by itself is armor. I mean, in the books especially, it's very hard, almost like dragon scales, maybe a level or two below that. So, of course, in the books, it's a little tougher to bring them down, but that's why they kind of stuck with that, and they don't really have that much armor. But these mainly are to symbolize that scene where he's pulling, and that's why at the end of the video you'll see some images I've created and selected and sharpened up and everything to show you scenes where they were at moving. You'll see that this guy on the Black Gate of Mordor, opening it up, Anyway, let's go to the side, give you the side view. And of course, I'll have images coming from all the different views, so you'll be able to see everything. Let's go top to bottom real slow. All right, there we go. It's just a beautiful figure, though. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's ugly, but it's supposed to be. It's beautifully ugly, if that makes sense. All right, so there you go. There, he stands 11 inches tall, just under, but it's close enough to just call it 11. This is all one piece, by the way. Once again, ToyBiz detail. They just detail everything. Like here, you think, oh man, it's falling apart. Remember, this is 20 years old. No, it's actually intentionally loose, and he has a piece that goes underneath and around. As you can see, he has the same toes as the cave troll. We're having a tripod issue here. Okay, let's go ahead and fix this. All right. Sorry about that. I'm gonna put it right like that. All right. So he has the same as the cave troll. They are the same species. They are not the Olag High that were introduced in the Middle Earth War. What is that called? Shadow War game. The Olag High, the super trolls that were super smart. I do not know. I looked and I did not find any references to them other than, and I'll get into it, but other than in the very beginning with Melkor, aka Morgoth, the first Dark Lord, who everything was under his power, everything back then, kind of like biblical, he based a lot of stuff on that and his war experiences, Tolkien did. And so basically it was set up to be that they were more perfect near the beginning of creation. They were created, etc. They were actually created to mock the elves and the high elves, especially. Not high as in high, just high elves, powerful ones. As you can see, this is fully detailed, burnished, slightly rusted, intentionally. Look, it's plastic. Now, of course, these do make it look a little uglier with this, but you can, and that's why they put them on here, I believe. Something you can't do with the other cave troll is you can move that in a little bit, and it hides it pretty well, especially on the right side, as you can see. And you don't see that. You don't see it slash as much because it goes down much further. But like I said, you can get them into great positions. You have these chains. Now, notice very carefully that the chains, and let's see if you can see, he's chained up. Okay, so he actually is the one on the chain. And you'll see scenes in the extended editions as well. And in the books, they talk about it, where the more powerful orcs and whatnot. These guys were beasts of burden. They were pulled by these chains. They were directed. They would use them to link up. They could fight, of course. They were vicious trolls, but their main thing was to operate, to do doors. By the way, these are real metal chains. Price range. If you want it in a box, brand new, untouched, things like that, be prepared to kick out anywhere between, if you're lucky, 60 to 70. If you're lucky, and that's boxed with everything. Most likely it'd be $100 or $110 for a brand new, and it's in mint condition, etc. One that's not in mint condition, but still boxed and has everything, I would say probably 80 to 90. Loose, and that's how I got him. The range is very wild, but it does seem to be, as long as he's complete, which means he's got all his chains, he's got his helmet, and fortunately that's all the accessories he has, and he works, his sound effects. I still think it's amazing how the mouth moves. It's really cool looking. Let's get him back there. And so basically, I've said basically way too many times. I apologize for that. That's it. He has a latex, and just to give you a little bit of a different angle. Now, as I said, the chest piece is all latex. So is the face, around the back side of the head, and then this is a harder plastic, which of course shows. Let me see if I can bring this over here without knocking the camera over. is burnished. You know, you can see where they threw things down at it. You can see that he had his chains here. He was a beast of burden. That's what these were. They were there to open up the gates of the Black Gate, if you recall, and they were getting whipped by these little orcs, which I always thought was kind of funny. And why don't you just turn around and smack them? But whatever. They were actually more under the direct control of Sauron and easily controlled because they had almost no wit, no intelligence. You know, they were not Mensa members essentially, but they were powerful. Um, Now, as far as I was talking about the pricing, loose again with complete like this and working and functioning and everything, which most of the ToyBiz are because they're such high quality, high detail. You're gonna pay anywhere between $30 to $60, depending on shipping, depending on that would be the range you would want to spend for a loose one. Now, there's one that even I'm still hunting for, which is the Battle Troll, the one with the spiked helmet and the spiked club, and he's nasty looking. I cannot wait to find him. Right now, he's a little too expensive. He's a little overpriced. Around 120 for him complete plus shipping. So I'm looking for someone that's going to have one a little bit lower. But that will be a review. I will get that because I want all three of the trolls they made. Like I say, he's 11 inches. Let's get into the lore part. Um, Trolls were very large and monstrous, ranging from between. Yeah, I wrote this out like a script, try to make it sound really good. I'll probably screw it up. Forgive me. Trolls were very large and monstrous, ranging from between 10 to 50 feet tall, depending on which depiction, whether it's the animated movie, whether it's Peter Jackson stuff, whether it's the Hobbit Peter Jackson stuff, and whether or not it was whether or not it was the book versions, which I consider and they were a lot bigger, especially in the first age. They were also smarter in the first age. Sadly, they are for the most part extremely unintelligent. Those were Tolkien's words in his book, where they have all his letters put together, and so I think it was page 247. I'm not sure, but he talks about they're just completely unintelligent, except for at the beginning. And at the beginning of the first age, these guys, all of them, they were smarter. They were under the control of Melkor, who became Morgoth, who essentially is your Lucifer to Satan thing. Essentially, he was the first Dark Lord. He was so powerful that Sauron was simply one of his lieutenants, a shape changer. Now he grew in power over time, but compared to this guy was a god. But he was literally a god level power. So he created trolls. He created them kind of in mockery of the high elves. Not high elves, you know what I mean? Not like high elves, but high elves. Anyway, they were made before the first age. They were very strong, but turned all of them, and that was a rule that it may have gotten loosened up, but it's still true. They all turned to stone in sunlight. That was their weakness, and that's why even in the books and in the movie, you see that during that final major battle on Minas Tirith, the dark shadows, Sauron sends darkness over, so that way the sun is blotted out. Not only to scare and intimidate, the Witch King also did, not only to scare and intimidate, but also to allow, orcs had sight issues, etc. in the sun, but most of his army, these guys right here pushing his battering rams, pushing all of his siege towers, etc., etc., these guys would have turned to stone, and it would have been, pretty hard to do the major stuff they did, except for what the Nazgul did. Okay, so going back into it, he created them before the first stage. They were very strong, but turned into stone and sunlight. Many trolls died in the War of Wrath, but some survived and quote unquote joined the forces of Sauron. They weren't smart enough necessarily to, hey, can I enlist in your army? Basically, he just took them over. He used his influence, his power, and he took them. And they became his. Maybe it was an instinctual thing, too, to go to the newest Dark Lord. After all, they were created by one. Um, as Sauron was the greatest surviving servant of Morgoth. In the second and third age, trolls were among Sauron's most dangerous warriors. He created the Olog High, which is more of a newer thing, which were smarter than earlier breeds of trolls. While most trolls cannot bear exposure to sunlight without turning stone, they actually could. I don't know. You guys can tell me if you believe that's canon or not. I'm not even going to go there. That's just what I tried to put all the information that's out there into this. So, anyway, they were strong and vicious, but generally dim-witted. It says everything I came across talked about how stupid they are over and over. But if you think about it, they're more just a beast. In this case, they're a beast of burden. In the other case, they were trained to kill. They had violent tendencies. They were created by an evil, dark lord, and Sauron simply just took, you know, his influence and put it over them. Even the cave one, essentially, but there were ones that were wild. But once Sauron was back and had his power, most of them came back to Mordor. But many of them, like the ones that were in the cave or in the mines of Moria, those ones actually, they were just wild, and their anger was even greater than before. Okay, so finish this off as quickly as possible. I don't want to go too long. I already have. Um, their hide was as thick as stone, this according to the books, and near impervious to physical attacks. Like I said, one level maybe below a dragon. This is according to Silmarillion. This is to his writings, all that. Their hide it is stated that they were created by Melkor. Actually, I messed up. They are a mockery of the Ents, the tree Ents. It was Treebeard says trolls were made in mockery of the Ents, as orcs were made as mockery of the elves. I don't know how I messed that up, and I apologize. I hope that you understand. I'm very sick. Though not necessarily from Ent's stock. So they did not necessarily come from Ent, but they were made to mock and probably counter the power of the Ents. Imagine how powerful they were in their prime. Um, However, they could be based on another race of Middle Earth, as neither Morgoth nor Sauron had access to the secret fire, which was the true ability to create new life 100%. So they could not create new things, but they could twist and alter things and change things that already existed. So we don't even know what originally they could have been. We know they weren't Ents, but they were made in mockery of them, so it's possible, I suppose. But it also is just as possible there was a creature that was just a troll, a regular sized, dim-witted thing that was just meant to go hang out in caves. I don't know. And they decided Morgoth put the evil in them. He remade their flesh. That's the kind of stuff he could do. They just could not create life on their own. That's the only difference. They could definitely change and distort life. Even Sauron could do that. Morgoth more so, since he was about 1,000 times more powerful than Sauron. Just think about that. See, as I said, they can only alter that which already exists. There is a reference that sunlight will return them to stone that they were made from in both The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. They seem to be fond of meat and will eat almost any animal or being they come across. By the way, when I say The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings previously, I meant the books, but also the movies too, a little bit. They also have very disgusting manners. Now, the ones we see in The Hobbit, Peter Jackson took that from the Silmarillion a little bit, where they were the idea that there were some that were more intelligent and were capable of speech and were more independent, and obviously those ones had been there for a long time. But of course, that The Hobbit, as we all know, was originally a children's book. He wasn't going to have them be these monsters, to terrify children. And that was his target audience with The Hobbit. Not that it wasn't still a very important part of the overall canon, It is. It's just it's a little more loose with that. For the most part, trolls were just big, mean, angry things controlled by the dark powers, whether that be the Witch King, whether that be, of course, more importantly, Morgoth, Sauron. And when Sauron was gone, and the Nazgul had gone back to sleep or wherever they went as he was gone, um, that's when trolls went out to like Moria, and they were controlled by goblins and by orcs, and they, which Tolkien always said goblins were technically an orc, but they're just a subspecies. So he could just say that the ones in the Hobbit were a subspecies, or in this case, a superior species, since they could talk, even though they were still pretty dumb. Um, but did show that their exposure to sunlight would turn them to stone. And so that's why Sauron learned it from Morgoth to turn the skies black when they marched. And of course, the original ones were much more powerful. This one, though, going back into it, ToyBiz, great figure. Get it if you can. If you can get them, it's wonderful. Think about how well this has held up over 20 years, almost 20 years. Um, it's just more remarkable. Wait till I start showing you my fell beast. I've got everything. I actually do have two playlists I'd like you to check out: the LOTR playlist, Lord of the Rings playlist, and the Toy Hall ones. And if you go to my older, more primitive videos, if you will, when I was a troll, not not troll, but a troll. Anyway, I was making videos just basically on my coffee table, just for my own self, but presentation wise. But you do get to see a lot more stuff, a lot of Toy Biz stuff. I have the wargs and warg riders. I have the urukai. I have hundreds of Toy Biz figures, and I did not even get them all. But if you do check those playlists out, and you'll find it. If you can, please like, subscribe, share, or comment, or all the above. I would really appreciate it. It helps keep me motivated, and I thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this, and like I said, give the thumbs up. This is a great figure. Um, very stable too, by the way, with those gigantic flat feet. And the batteries, just so you know, one last thing I did not mention, you just unscrew that and put in two AA batteries, and he is good to go. And like I said, the nice latex. Let's get another nasty close up of him. Hey, let's do it. You have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and thank you again for watching.